guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Today I'm in this 2012 Ford Focus ST. This is the third generation Focus ST, which ran from 2012 until 2018. And although I'm not a hot hatch fan generally, it's hard not to like this. It's really good fun to drive, but above all that, it just feels really pure, really honest. It's a proper working class hero, this. And it doesn't look or sound ridiculous like its mad big brother, the RS. I was thinking this before, I don't even know how I end up having these thoughts, but if the Focus RS were a person, it's the sort of person I'd distance myself from. Whereas the ST, I think you'd go down the pub and have a few pints with him. Does that make sense? Or have I lost the plot? Before we start, I must say a thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Car Vertical. Before you buy a car or motorbike, it's critical that you do a vehicle history check. That way you know it hasn't been involved in an accident, there's no finance outstanding on it, it's never had its mileage rolled back. It's so important, and Car Vertical works in dozens of countries, and it's really easy to use. All you do is go to carvertical.com and type in your reg or chassis number. If you click the link below in the video description and use the promo code HIGHPEAK, you'll get 10% off each and every check that you do. Right, let's start with the styling. I think this performance blue is one of the best colours in the history of automotive hues. I think it'd look good on any car. Thanks to its slightly lower suspension and its 18-inch wheels, it just looks really poised. The whole package works. It doesn't look overstyled like the Focus RS or the Honda Civic Type R. But there are enough subtle differences so that everybody knows you're not just driving your mum's 1.6 Z-Tech. I like the front end with its aggressive grille. I also like the back end with its central exhaust. I like the rear spoiler. Everything's just enough without being too much. That's the thing with hot hatches. They're either too bland, too boring, so you can't distinguish them from the ordinary car on which it's based, or they're too over the top and childish. But I think the Focus ST balances that fine line like a tightrope walker. It just looks sporty and purposeful without being a complete JD bag on wheels. Moving inside, it's a bit different from your mum's 1.6 Z-Tech too. You get these Recaro bucket seats, which I love, which immediately make you realise that you're in something capable of 154 miles an hour. They're really nice actually, they're very supportive, and they just keep you gripped in place. And you can set it so that you can sit really low. I like the chunky, sporty steering wheel, and the layout of everything's really good. You get a nice comfortable centre armrest, 2 cup holders, some more storage down there. You've got your climate control buttons here, which are nice and easy to operate. You also get a heated front windscreen. The Sony stereo is a bit of a button fest, but after half an hour in it, you'll soon figure it out. Because this is the sporty version, you get these 3 gauges here which give you extra information about your oil pressure and oil temp and your turbo and all that sort of stuff. But I don't like it. I think it's a bit childish. Looks like something that you'd buy in Halfords and then retrofit yourself. This thing flies. Oh, that's... Can't tell you the speed there, boys and girls. That was quick. That genuinely surprised me. This has got a 0 to 60 time around 6.5 seconds, so I didn't expect it to feel particularly brisk. Alright, that figure of 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds isn't bad by any stretch, but nowadays it isn't something that you'd shout from the rooftops. So I didn't expect it to feel that quick. Let's try that again for a bit of a laugh. Drop it down to third, sting it, 5,000 RPM, 6,000 RPM, down into fourth. I suppose that's what these kind of cars are all about. Once you're tired of all that juvenile acceleration and you drop down to the speed limit, it's quite quiet. There's not much wind noise, not much road noise. You get a 6-speed manual gearbox, so sat at 60 miles an hour, you're only doing 2,000 RPM. So it wouldn't make a bad motorway cruiser, this. There are 3 different trim levels. There's the ST, the ST2, and the ST3. All of them, even the base model ST, come with a reasonable amount of kit. So you get things like air conditioning, digital DAB radio, Bluetooth and USB. So I really can't advise you which one to buy because they're all okay. There's another one. The model I'm in today is an ST2, so it's middle of the line. So you get things like power fold mirrors, a sunroof, cruise control. But when buying this kind of car, the best advice I could give you is buy the best one you can find, even if it's a low spec one. Even if you got your heart set on an ST3, if you see a really nice, honest, genuine ST, just buy that one instead. I'd rather have an absolutely mint base model than a ropey high-spec one. The sound quality of the Sony stereo is very good, although because we're up north I can't seem to get the DAB to work. Most people still use wireless up here. This model has a reverse camera too, which for some reason doesn't work. Every time I try and select reverse, all I get is an annoying message saying unavailable. So I'll have to get that checked out. You also get a proper old-fashioned manual handbrake. Just in case you want to do any of those childish handbrake turns. Thought that was a police officer with a radar gun. False alarm. Everything in the interior feels very well put together. Nothing feels cheap or flimsy. It actually feels quite Germanic. The interior space isn't bad either, nor is the visibility. These A-pillars are quite chunky, but I've not found them to be too much of a hindrance. I don't wish to be impertinent, but I think if you were a larger build, you might struggle to get comfortable in these seats, because they are quite grippy. The rear space isn't bad either for a car of this size. Moving back to the boot, you get 362 litres of space. If that isn't good enough for you though, you could buy the estate version, which would make this a perfect family car. You'd be happy to hear the Focus is a very safe car. It's got airbags everywhere, and it scored top marks on its Euro NCAP safety rating. And you get ISOFIX points for the car seats. Right, I've waffled on too much now without talking about the ST's main selling point. That's the performance. Under the bonnet is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine. The previous ST got a 2.5 litre 5-cylinder turbo from Volvo, which I loved. This one sadly doesn't have that. But after 5 minutes of driving this Mark III ST, you won't care. It's a peach. This produces around 250 horsepower, so it's no slouch. Although because it's front wheel drive, you do get quite a bit of torque steer. I don't know if you could pick that up on the camera then. It isn't atrocious, but it is there. Something else to point out, the ride is a little bit firm. It isn't unbearable, but it is quite stiff. The way this car handles though, and the way it grips is excellent. It's a joy to drive on these country roads. I do understand, finally, why you'd want one of these cars. You get a big enough boot to chuck your kids' things in, plenty of space in the back for some passengers, and when you're on some twisty B roads, you can put that cheesy grin on your face. What I like about this is there's more than enough power so that you can have some fun, but there's not so much that you ever worry you'll end up the wrong side of one of these dry stone walls. It never feels like a handful, it's just enough. It's kind of the right amount of power. In terms of running costs, you should do around 28 miles per gallon around town, and mid-40s on a motorway run. Road tax here in the UK is only £265 a year, so that shouldn't break the bank. The fuel tank holds 62 litres, so to fill that up today will cost you about £870. One thing I've noticed with this, the turning circle isn't great. It's got quite a large turning circle, and the actual steering wheel will only turn around sort of 1 1/4 turns. It's a bit strange. I also don't like the steering wheel buttons. This is true of all Fords of this era. I don't like the fact that they're shaped around the wheel. It's not natural, it's not ergonomically friendly. In terms of reliability, because they're driven hard, you need to service them regularly. Ford might not tell you this officially, but you need to service them every 8,000 miles really, just to ensure that they're always in fine fettle. It's turbocharged, so you might have that fail on you one day. Also, because of the nature of it, you might end up having to recondition the gearbox or replace the clutch. But generally speaking, my experiences with this generation ST have been good. Something that really bugs me about this generation of Focus, and you see this all the time when you're out on the roads. In fact, the next time you're out and about, have a look out for this, because I guarantee you'll spot at least one. The rubber weather strips on the doors always seem to break and hang off. So I guarantee the next Focus that you see on the roads, there'll be a foot-long piece of rubber trim hanging out of one of the doors. It's so common. I think Ford should have recalled every single car and fixed it, but it's such a poor advert for them. I know that isn't the end of the world, you're not going to be left stranded because of it, but it just looks a bit poor. Used prices here in the UK are quite strong. I was surprised how expensive these still are. Bear in mind they're 10 years old now. Prices for non-written off examples start at around £9,000. For one like this is a late 2012 with 67,000 miles on the clock. This will set you back around 10. For a nice ST3 with around 50,000, expect to spend around 12. So it isn't exactly a bargain, but I guarantee when you get behind the wheel, you'll have no regrets. They're great fun. Well, I think that's about it. Thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. I'm nearly at 190,000. 190, can you believe that? 190,000 subscribers. Anyway, thank you for subscribing. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. If you've got any comments or questions, let me know below in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you're interested in getting into the used motor trade, check out my online course. I've created an online platform with nearly 100 videos which explain every single aspect of the used motor trade. Where to start, branding, funding, sourcing cars, preparing cars for sale. It's all there, so do check it out. So yeah, cheers guys. See you next time.